Just into the NBC2 newsroom, Lee County deputies tell us they have arrested 3 Cape Coral men hours before they could carry out a heinous crime. Deputies say they were plotting to rob, torture, and kidnap, possibly even kill a Georgia man who owed them money. We are told that the 3 were caught on Burnt Store Road in Lee County. Deputies say they were on their way, though, to Georgia. They found weapons and supplies, including zip ties and body armor, in the car, and charges against them included conspiracy to kidnap and conspiracy to rob.
Hi, this is Sharita Davis, and Watcha Films had a privilege of introducing today Cornell Bunton. This is a story about a Jamaican-born American citizen who came to America with his goals and aspirations in hand, only to be betrayed by one of his own church members. I sit down with Cornell Bunton today to have his one-on-one interview. Make sure you stay tuned.
Rise to the occasion, look at yourself and say you're strong. No one can stop you, oh yeah. Rise to the occasion, go ahead, you know you're strong. No one can stop you. It's for you to make the best in the life. Now that you've got the chance, get up and step towards your goal, it's alright. Fulfill your needs and the wants. You to make the best in the life. Now that you've got the chance, get up and step towards your goal, it's alright. Yeah, yeah. Some people read and meditate, others move scanty, yo. Some people are conscious about life, others are still panting, yo. Some people like strong drink, cognac, champagne and brandy, yo. Babies love ice cream and cake and candy, yo. I love herbs and girls, good words, roots, I'm a shanty, yo. Girls love clothes and shoes, go to school brand new and that means spanking, yo. Yeah, we all need education because that's the damn thing, yo. All things fade, living it standing. It's for you to make the best in the life. Now that you've got the chance, get up and step towards your goal, it's alright. Fulfill your needs and the wants. You to make the best in the life. Now that you've got the chance, get up and step towards your goal, it's alright. Fulfill your needs and wants. You've got the clearance, that's the reference. Perseverance for the utmost best should be your preference. Skills of trade and talents is your evidence. Help those afar off, teach those in your residence. Oh yeah, yeah, girls getting sentiments. Look at it with a clear conscience. It's for you to make the best in the life. Now that you've got the chance, get up and step towards your goal, it's alright.
Intentional, never failing. I know that all things are working for my good. Yeah, she's intentional, never failing.
Here I am in the gorgeous Lakes Park in Fort Myers, Florida, here to meet Mr. Cornell Bunton. Hi, how are you doing this evening? It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Lovely.
Have a seat. Hi, we're back again with Watcha Films, and I am sitting here with the one and only Cornell Bunton. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing?
I'm good, I'm good.
Lovely.
So, introduce yourself for the people that don't know you.
All right. Well, I'm Cornell Bunton. Born in Jamaica, grew up in England a little bit, and came to the state and became citizen back in 2011.
Okay, all right. So you've been here about 4 years.
No, I came, I first came back in 2001, lived on Captiva for a while, and think I did the hurricane happened in 2004.
Okay.
Then I went up north for a little bit.
Okay. All right. So what have you been doing since you've been in Florida?
Let's see. When I got citizenship, I wanted to get my degree in information technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that, and then I wanted to open a company, and then I wanted to continue with my bachelor. So I took a year off to open the company and get that going. So once that was where I wanted it to be, then I would go back and finish my bachelor degree.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So Jamaican-born, U.S. citizen.
Yes.
You have your goals and your aspirations laid out.
Yes.
What makes this interview so different from everybody else's?
Well, I see this interview is, the reason it's different is the things that transpired for me. Like, so 2013 was like one of those great years, like that things were looking awesome.
Right.
And then just out of nowhere, I had all that stuff happen where I got arrested. Then I was in jail for 10 months, you know. So like, it was I was at my peak, and then I just went down, you know. So it was like a good and bad year.
A good and bad year. All right. And I heard 10 months. You were incarcerated for 10 months.
10 months. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Actually, we're going to take a break, and we're going to elaborate on that when we come back. But right now, here's a word from our sponsors.
Why?
Okay. So let's hear about this whole 10 months incarceration.
That was tough because I've never been to jail. Like, you know, it was my first time getting arrested like that, and then they said, okay, you have to go to like first appearance tomorrow. Like, I was thinking like I could just bun out after this because I didn't know what was going on. So I was in a holding cell for overnight, and then we went to the first appearance, and you know, so they called my name, and then they start reading out the charges. And so when they start reading out the charges, I sat back down because I didn't think that was my case, you know, because it was so horrendous. Like, you know, there was kidnapping and robbery with a firearm. I'm like, that's not my case. So so they're like, what are you doing? Dude, they're reading out your charges right now. I'm like, how? I don't know about all that stuff. That's not me. But so they're like, no, that's you. That's your charges. You got 16 charges. After they read the charges out, they say, you're looking at 32 years in prison.
How did your family take it?
Not good. I mean, they just, well, because outside it was scary for them because, you know, they had the media going to the house trying to, you know, get the scoop on what's going on.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand this part.
Yes.
You said the media.
Yes.
So this was all in the media. This just
Listen.
wasn't something like, you know, you're going to jail, you know, you're facing 30, 32 years. They like really took this out of proportion.
Yeah, they blew this up like it was like serious, like terrorist type of stuff. Like they took it to that level where, you know, everyone was emotional. Like it was surreal, you know, like, but it was real. Like this was happening, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, I'm gonna bond out. We're gonna get this figured out. And my lady was like, listen, you're not going anywhere. If you know what's going on out here, you would not be saying that because of just the way they made us sound like what we're gonna do is just so horrific, you know.
Right. Now, to my understanding, you have 2 boys, right?
I have 3 boys.
You have 3 boys.
So my oldest son, he's still in Jamaica. We're hoping to get him here soon, and then my 2 boys that are here.
Since this was all in the media, how did your boys take it?
They didn't. Well, I'm not sure how much they saw on TV, but I know that it kind of took a while for them to come see me at jail, you know, because I was in maximum security.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was emotional. I mean, they're like, Daddy, when are you coming home? You know, so it was always that conversation,
Right.
no matter what we talked about.
Okay. Now, I know our viewers are very curious. What charges were you accused of to get 32 years, and how did they come about? But before you answer that, we're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsors once again. Make sure you stay tuned to watch the film. Okay, so back to this, you having to do 10 months and possibly looking at 32 years with 16 felonies. What were you accused of?
So I was accused of 8 counts of solicitation and 8 counts of, I don't even remember what that was. But, so let's see, solicitation, conspiracy. Okay,
Wow.
so I was accused of 8 counts of solicitation, 8 counts of conspiracy, and so the conspiracy carried, you know, kidnapping this individual and then whoever worked for that individual. So what they did was just more like created individuals that worked for that person. So they weren't even sure who worked for the individual.
Right.
So it was like all those charges. So the 8 just kind of mount up to 16. And
Okay. From our initial talk and initial interview, it doesn't seem like you had a history of criminal activity.
right.
What were you involved in to be thrown in the loop of all this?
So my security company, we had just landed, like, we was like at 12 contracts. We had just landed 3 more contracts with, you know, this hookah lounge owner, whatever that was, and so they had a family member that I guess were owed money by an individual in another state, and so they had kind of reached out to me about, you know, can you help us, give us some, you know, how could you help us, you know, get this situation figured out? And
Okay.
so I was like, you know, I am not sure I can, you know, help you guys because I'm not, you know, I'm not equipped for all that. You know, my
Right.
company is still new. You know, we're still trying to recruit guys and trying to figure out who fits where at
Right.
what locations. You know, and so basically what I told him, you know, I could go and I could talk with this guy with you and just kind of see where you at
Okay.
with this guy. And so we did that. After we kind of figured out where they were at, we said, you know, this is, we're going to draw up an agreement and you guys can come to that agreement, you know. And so that's where that was. That's
Okay.
where we left that. And that was done right there. Now, this individual that worked for me, whoever paid him to decide to shut down my company because of however I was.
Now, the same individual that you're speaking of, wasn't that a church member of yours?
Yes, you know, I had the church so I had this group that I used to go on a day of the week, and we would meet, and they asked me to, you know, hire this individual because they were, you know, in a situation where they needed help financially, and so I did that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you were betrayed by one of your church members.
you got it. It was kind of what really happened. That's exactly what happened, and it just shut down my whole world. You know, I mean, I lost my place in the Cape, my car, just everything I had, I lost it. Basically, I had to close the company because I had no one to run it while I was in jail, and you know, and then while I'm in jail, I had to just kind of figure out, you know, what's the next step. You know, like where do I go from here because of how scary stuff we're looking.
Okay, so your time in there, what helped you get through those 10 months and those possible 32 years? What was your biggest support?
I would say number one was God, and then Dana. So, you know, first, Dana was like just there, man, for me the whole time. You know, we talk on the phone every day, and, you know, even though there was stuff that was happening that was giving her concerns, you know, and she was concerned about how scared this looked, I was there, and so I had kind of calmed down. You know, after realizing that I wasn't going anywhere, I figured out I needed to figure this out. You know, so I start reading the Bible. You know, God really kind of got a hold of me in jail and just kind of made that a transformation in me where I could like start humbling myself.
Now, I noticed you mentioned Dana a lot, and I know Dana, I know who she is, but for the viewers who don't know who Dana is, that is this gorgeous, supportive wife that helped him through those hard times and still by his side now.
Yes.
But I also noticed you mentioned your faith. Your
Yes.
faith is still strong, and it seems like it makes you so humble, even
Yes.
though you were betrayed by one of your own church members.
Yes, Yes, and I forgave him, and you know, I wanted to move forward when this was over, and I was hoping that, you know, it would open at a time, it would end at a time that we wanted, but then we had to kind of fall back and understood that anything happened, it happens on God time, you know.
Exactly.
So his timing was impeccable, and you know, I think I kind of came to the realization of what was going on, like right around 8 months when I was in there, you know. And I feel like God was like, okay, son, I think you're ready now. And I think, and then he made that way because I had a bond, but they had a hole on the bond, so I couldn't bond out even if I could bond out, you know.
Right.
So then that came around, you know, the bond came, and so, you know, Dana helped me with that, and I had an attorney, and at the time my attorney was like, he's a very humble guy, but he's very strategic, you know, and so we don't understand the method behind his madness, but you know, we were concerned a little bit, and so, you know, we prayed on it, and I just kind of felt like God was saying, listen, he's the guy that's going to get all this taken care of, and, you know, we pray on it, and, you know, we ask God, like, we just want the truth to come out, you know, like, they created this story on me that's so fabricated. Everyone just pray for the truth to come out, and, you know, so they wanted me to take a plea deal. They were like, we'll drop it to 3 years, you go to prison for 5 years, whatever, and, you know, so I was like, no, I'm not doing one more day in behind this bar, whatever you guys trying to do, so let's take this all away. And so we did that, and, you know, they dragged this out for 2 years because they didn't really have a case, but they were trying to figure it out.
Okay.
And so I was, you know, just patient in there and just kind of do what I always have been doing before this happened. Like, you know, I do outreach. I do a lot of outreach stuff, you know. I do third Saturday outreach. I do growth group during the week with individuals. Just kind of help them, you know, see how God works in, you know, in individuals' lives.
Now, you keep saying to see how God works.
Right.
With your prayer and your prayer chain going on and your humbleness and your faith and your support, what's the outcome of your case at this moment?
Yeah, so we went to trial after, I guess, what, 15, whatever that was, they did, just kind of drag it out and keep pushing it back. So it became the oldest case. Anyways, we get the trial, and the state, you know, produced their witnesses, and when they've done with all their witnesses, they have still yet to show any proof of me being guilty of none of these crimes. And even after that happened, the judge still decided he wasn't going to throw it out. So, you know, the lawyer presented his side, you know, so they heard both sides, and I mean, it got scary for a little bit, you know.
Right.
I felt confident going into it all the way.
Right.
But the last 3 hours, I'll be honest with you, it got bad. Like, I was emotional, like, it got real. Like, you know, the jury went back, and, you know, they're back there. And I'm thinking, you know, because everything it was right there, you know.
Where did your faith stand in those last 3 hours?
It was like right in the balance. Like, okay, God, you know, for me at the time, I was like, you know, God, what is going on right now? Because I'm not guilty of all this stuff, but I was getting all maybe ahead of myself or whatever, you know. And I think what I realized what happened was I calmed down. I said, God, if you feel like you want to put me in prison for 32 years, then I guess you need me in prison.
So you surrendered to him?
I did. I surrendered, and I was like, you know what? But then I kind of made it talk like I was trying to manipulate God as well, because I was like, listen, there's a ton of guys in prison that is already doing your work. You don't really need me in there. I could do your work out here, you know.
You're bargaining.
Yeah, you know, so it got real there for a little bit, but then I relaxed, you know. I was like, God, it's your will, you know, and it got so real. I called Dana. I was like, listen, bring the boys. You know, I want to be prepared, you know. I want to, you know, and so it got down to where I gave her the bank cards, whatever was in my wallet, you know, kissed the boys, you know. Then they came out and was like, you know, the jury made a decision. And you know, it got real right there, man. I walked in, and when I walked in, two bailiff came, you know, stand by my side, and you know, I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen right now. And then, you know, they stood up, you know, and they start calling out the charges, and I heard not guilty, you know, and so I knew I wasn't really out of the woods yet, you know, because it's 16 charges. I wanted them to get to 10.
Right.
Because I knew like the first 8, then that part is done. But then we still had to deal with that other 8. So I was like, okay, let me. So I'm standing there, and you know, then they got to 9, not guilty, 10, not guilty, and I just got emotional because I couldn't help myself but cry because the thing was, it's like I saw my family getting taken away from me without I did anything, you know, like.
And it's funny you say that. You saw your family getting taken away from you. Most people, when they're in a situation like that, they see themselves being taken away. But you saw your family being taken away from you. So at that point, you didn't have any selfishness in you.
Right. Yeah. It got real, man. Like I just couldn't believe like an individual would do such thing, you know. Like you come in my home, we you know, you had dinner with us, you know, and just the crimes that I was accused of. It was just like, just why would someone do something like that, you know, when I showed them all this kindness. You know, I gave you work over other people sometimes, you know, and I looked out for you, you know, and even when people were saying, fire him, man, because he's like, you know, a risk to your company, I was like, I don't see the need. So I wanted to sit down and talk to this guy. I was like, what's going on, man, you know?
But after everything's said and done, and, you know, you're not guilty, you're here today with your family, even though you don't have your company anymore, what did you learn from that?
I gotta value my family, you know. I had priorities. At first, when the company had happened, my priority was getting the company up and running. And so I wasn't spending time with my family. You know, like I was spending time with getting the company going, so I had certain goals set up where I wanted it. And I didn't have God in it at all. You know, I didn't thank God for blessing me with that opportunity, and I didn't have him leading, you know. So that was the difference. You know, what I learned now is having God in the midst of what I'm doing. You know, he's going to bless me, and you know, I have goals, and he knows I want to reach them, and he knows when I ask, he'll give, and he'll work it in according to his will, you know. And so there was so much I learned, but just the biggest part of how not to get comfortable and, you know, continue to be desperate, you know, for God and what he wants to, you know, to become of what my success would look like, you know.
Right.
I don't think my success would look like a success without God in it.
Right.
So that, you know, so that was like the big piece I was missing.
Awesome.
Yes.
We're gonna be right back. Okay, we're back with Mr. Cornell. So, what are you doing now?
So I'm back in school, you know. I'm
Great.
doing gaming and simulation programming.
Nice.
So I write codes for video games and learning to create apps.
I think that's half of America's dream job.
It does get complex. So right now I'm working in C++, trying to understand that language, and decided to reopen the company as well.
Great, congratulations.
So, yes, thank you. So we got that going, and then we just finished my kids book.
Nice.
So we'll see what that looks like here in the next couple months.
Okay.
Wherever we decide to publish that, and so we got some stuff in the works, and God is really he's really showing us that beautiful path that the devil was trying to shut down.
That's awesome. Now,
Yes.
For our faith-driven viewers, what church are you mentoring at?
Next Level.
Next Level?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm at the Plantation campus.
Now, Mr. Cornell, what encouraging and inspiring words would you have for our youth today?
I would say to our youths today, you know, you set a goal, you know, So dreams, everyone dream, you know, but you want to set a goal, you want to go after that goal. But understand that there's a higher power that is here for you, that loves you, and want you to trust him. And once you put your trust in him and you go after your dreams, you will accomplish it. I promise you will accomplish it.
This has been a one-on-one interview brought to you by Watch the Films with Mr. Cornell Bunton. Thank you.
I'll be gone a while away from you, and I hope you understand that I've got to do what I must do to be a better man. Cause if I was just to act a fool, do nothing with myself, then all my blessings would be cursed, my world would crumble in. It's a joy when I sit down and think of the good times that we have, and what we do to make it through when the good turns to the bad. Well, I hope you'll find it in your heart and know these words are true. And please don't fuss, because I must go do what I must do. Hey baby, don't you worry, even though the road is rocky, I'll be coming home to you again. 'Cause if you thought that I was lost, I had to bear my cross. Now I'm free from all these chains. A time, a space, a different place, how perfect we might be. I would be the wind that blows, you'd be that willow tree. And I could never bear the thought of you not by my side. So I would be